Hey, this video is another option for the Christmas card if you don't have those watercolors and oil pastels at home. So you're just going to take a thinner sheet of paper. I like mine to be unlined. If you have some, like this is just printer paper. And I'm going to go on and fold just like I did in the original video. Fold that vertically in half. I'm right-handed, so I'm still going to use that right side. I can use my pencil first on this version since I don't have an oil pastel. And I'm going to start down near the bottom again. We're going to go through those same steps as I showed in the first video, except I'm using a pencil on this right side. And so I've got my bumper, and then I'm going to do a U-shaped tire, just like I did with my treads. Then I'm going to do a small circle for a blinker, enclosed in another circle. Then I'm going to do a larger circle with enclosed in another circle. That's going to be my headlight. I'm going to go up from just a little bit off the edge of the bumper and come up and curve around that light and stop at the center. That is the front hood of the car. Above the middle of the lights, I'm going to go up and curve over to the top of the car. Try to make sure that that's straight so that you don't get a heart effect here in just a little bit where your hood looks like it dips down into the center. So you want to really make sure that that is straighter than what I just created. So I'm going to fix that real quick. Okay, now you can make a big windshield or you can make a smaller window. I'm going to just go in and do the smaller window. So I could have gone on down like I did in my original video and made this touch this hood, but I'm going to stop there. Then I'm going to do about 1/2 inch here and do this oval shape for the grill. Okay. Now, on my other video, what we did was close this and rubbed. Well, we have pencil, and pencil's not going to transfer like an oil pastel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace this half in black Sharpie. Any kind of marker that is dark would be just fine for you to use on this. I like a Sharpie because it's permanent and it doesn't move if it gets wet or anything. Okay, so here is my car. Now what I'm going to do is close this over, and since I'm using a thin paper, you're going to be able to see through this, okay? So now what I'm going to do is trace over these lines. Now, while I'm tracing, I'm going to try to be very careful to stay on the lines because I do want my car to be symmetrical. But I also, this way, I am going to have an extra step. I'm going to have to trace this again on the other side because right now I'm working on the back of the paper. Okay, so flip it open. That kind of bled through my paper because I used this permanent marker. If I had used a pencil, it would be harder to see. So a marker will work best. You can trace back over this. I'll show you all how to make a ribbon if you want to make a Christmas bow. I'm just going to make an O shape or a circle right there in the middle, right of that crease. Then I'm going to make a very thin ellipse on each side at the top of that circle. I'm going to make a line that comes down on each side, can make it go all the way down here, and then it curves back. So I'm going to make it that just a little longer, and then it's going to curve and stop at that center circle. And then you can actually do this by making the number 11 or some parallel lines and then an up arrow. So that will create your bow. Now you can put presents on here. You can do a Christmas tree. Since you guys are going to be coloring, it's completely up to you. Instead of doing the Christmas tree like I did earlier, you may want to do yours where it's a little bit boxier instead of just the branches, since we're not going to be using the pastels, okay? So then you could just go over, you can make these lines across the grill still. You can use a ruler if you want to make them perfectly straight. You can create your own kind of background, however you would like to do that. I'll just keep this the same as kind of what I did before. You could draw trees, stop signs, a snowman, whatever you'd like in the background. Then you're just going to be able to color this with whatever you've got, colored pencils, crayons, markers, just adding in that color like we did on the original with the watercolors. Another neat idea, if you want, especially in the background, would be like you did on your owl, where you use a marker if you don't have watercolors, and then wet that ink on your page. So go in and color with your marker, wet a paintbrush that's clean, and then just touch it, and that ink will spread and create some really interesting visual effects in the background of your Christmas card. So this is your option if you did not have watercolors or oil pastels. It does take a bit since we had to do this back tracing, but just take your time. And if you are going to put something that's going to overlap on this, then I would just maybe plan that out ahead a little bit better than I just did, so that you don't have this overlapping lines, which I could always use something like collage, like tear some paper and lay that on top of that to cover it up. So I hope you guys enjoyed this version as well, and hopefully we'll be together soon and we can do it with the watercolors.